Well, guys, gals, non binary pals, sentient colors, and other, welcome to the first episode of the brand new Sci-Fi Lab. For those of you who are new or who don't already know, the Sci-Fi Lab was originally it was a radio show hosted by students at Georgia Institute of Technology, or Georgia Tech, on their campus radio station, Rec. It has since been moved, mostly due to scheduling conflicts, which means that I am currently on my own. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know what this is gonna be, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna see how it goes. So, basically what the show is, it's going to be me, talking about science fiction, bringing in other people to talk about science fiction, interviewing science fiction authors or creators, or I don't know, maybe I'll collab with other sci-fi podcasts. Who knows? But I am planning on sharing. Oh gosh, this is getting off to a grand start. Also, I'm probably not going to edit anything. Like make this straight up podcast form. One, because I think it adds authenticity, and two, because I'm lazy. So, I say I'm lazy, I'm the only one here. I'm doing the show on my own. I chose this. I brought it back. This is on me. Anyway, so I'm going to be doing a lot of things. I have some segments planned, bringing back some previous segments. I know if you ever listened to the radio show, which I believe the archives are still available on the Rec website. I'm going to have to check on that. Might want to move them over to my channel. But anyway, so some of the previous segments include future news, which are, interesting news stories which have not happened yet. I mean, this is the Sci-Fi Lab, so... Well, it's more like a sci-fi fantasy lab. I'm honestly more into... I'm more of a speculative fiction and fantasy person, but, we've got to keep the branding. Anyway, so there's going to be future news. There's going to be scenes from a space helmet, where I will bring in various students, probably from the drama club here, or just random other students who want to participate. And we're going to do Whose Line-esque scenes from a space helmet. Scenes from a hat, but it's a space helmet because everything has to be sci-fi. And if anyone would like to send me any suggestions for scenes from a space helmet, please feel free to do so in the comments. You will be credited if you do so, because I like to give credit where credit is due. Speaking of credit where credit is due, one of the minor segments that I'm going to have is going to be called Meet the Labsters. This show has been going on for 10 years, and a lot of the alumni are still around. Or if they aren't around, they are still, we can still get into contact with them. So they'll just send in, some things about themselves and what they did on the Sci-Fi Lab back when it was a radio show, and we get to preserve some of that history and, keep the memory of the show alive, sort of quantify that. Also, don't know if you haven't noticed, this is supposed to be a podcast, but it's going to be more of a vlog, at least until I actually get going. And maybe until I am no longer alone. Looking for a co-host. If you are a Georgia Tech student, hit me up. And yeah, Listen, I am literally sitting alone in the actual physical sci-fi lab talking to myself. It's you know, fun times. This is quality times, quality content I'm producing here right now. Also, submissions are open either in the comments or via private message, email. For if you would like to produce, like this is completely voluntary because I'm poor and can't pay anyone. Although that might change, so stay tuned for that. If we can actually get funding from the school to do things, I might be able to pay people to produce content. But yes, if you would like to submit a short story or a poem or a radio drama or a scene from a space helmet or any original sci-fi music or anything at all, really, feel free to contact me. We can set something up. If you are a sci-fi writer or content producer, I would love to have you on the show. We could talk about things, talk about whatever you've built, whatever you've made, whatever content you have created, and your background in science fiction, and just what you love about the genre or of other genres, because sci-fi is, sort of the jack of all trades when it comes to genre crossovers. I mean, the very first sci-fi story was also a horror story, Frankenstein and whatnot. Speaking of Frankenstein, it's, I believe, 200 years old now, which is really cool. Got that history in there. So, yeah. Send me your stuff. Send me good stuff. Send me hilariously bad stuff. No, please. I would love to have some hilariously bad fiction featured on this show. I will do dramatic readings. As long as it's not, too raunchy, And it's still gotta be, sci-fi or speculative fiction or something. I will also do fan fiction. I will. Depending on the fandom. I'm sorry. And, content quality. There's a line between hilariously bad and just bad, and I think we all know that. But no, I am totally up for hilariously bad content. Please send me some hilariously bad. Or hilariously good. I'm up for a laugh. I think we all are. Also, I might try to put together a Stabby the Space Roomba episode. If you don't know what Stabby the Space Roomba is, I don't exactly know where it started. I think it was a fandom for a different podcast, actually. Wolf 459, something like that. But there's just an ongoing saga of a Roomba on spaceships, and it's got a knife strapped to it, and it just goes around stabbing people. And I personally love Stabby. I love all the stories I see of Stabby, the Space Roomba. It's fantastic. It really is. I'm actually really into the sort of super contemporary, internet science fiction. The Twitter account Coniferous, or Quiet Pine Trees, I guess. Coniferous University. All of the humans are weird stories. I'll probably talk about that. That's my favorite emerging sci-fi drama. I did, in fact, buy the Humans Wanted, which is an anthology of humans are weird stories, which I would recommend because it is, I bought it and read it in 3 hours. It was so good. But I'm a sucker for those kinds of stories. So I'm really into contemporary sci-fi, either really, really new sci-fi or really, really old sci-fi. I absolutely adored Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet was one of my very first forays into science fiction. And this is, like, it's what got me into it. Like, Forbidden Planet that was my first introduction, which is hilarious considering that my dad is a super big Star Trek nerd. So I might be pulling from that too. Oh, dude. I do invite questions about me, about, sci-fi at Tech. We actually have a sci-fi minor at Georgia Tech, so that's interesting. I can't do it because of like school regulations or whatever, but it exists. I don't think most people know that. I didn't before I came here. So that's a bit about me and a bit about the show. And I think I'm going to end that off here. So this has been the introduction to the Sci-Fi Lab.